which horse or horseman from the past would you most like to see compete in modern-day harness racing?
I was always a big fan of Clint Hodgins. I thought he was a very underrated horseman. He was probably one of the best horsemen. I got a chance to meet him too, so that was really special. But Clint could handle any kind of horse.
When I was a kid starting out, there was a guy I always impressed me. It was Clint Hodgins. I loved watching him.
Today's racing, I'd love to see Ronnie Fagan, see how he'd do in this day of racing. I think the way he raced horses back then, he'd probably be just as good today as he was back then.
I don't know. There's been so many greats of the past. You can keep going down the list. There's just, why don't we just say just Joe O'Brien for one.
Joe O'Brien, I don't know, someone like that maybe. Yeah.
Horseman, probably Joe O'Brien, I guess, from Prince Edward Island, of course. And horse, Niatros was a big favorite of mine in 1980. And he was a horse ahead of his time, I think.
You know, the first horse that comes to my mind is Niatros. When I was really young, a long time ago, I was lucky enough to witness some of his races, so I would like to see him back.
I would like to see Niatros compete in modern day, just because he had such high speed. I'd like to see how he could compete with the speeds today and what he could really go if he had a race set up.
The horse that I'd like to see would be Niatros. He was ahead of his time. It'd definitely be interesting to see how he matched up against these horses today. Trainer, driver, Stanley Dancer. He had a powerful stable for years, and I think if he was here today, he'd still have a powerful stable.
Probably, like there's a lot of good guys right now, but I was at Stanley Dancer's farm about a month or two ago, and that's really cool. It would have been, it's still a great looking farm, and it would have been really cool to see it when he was the king of all horse racing, I guess, training and driving. So he was quite a guy. Another guy would be Joe O'Brien. He did a heck of a lot for the sport. So one of those two guys would be cool to see.
I'll say Stanley Dancer. I like his colors.
Again, like Billy Houghton, Stanley Dancer, and them. You know, they were great horsemen back in the day, and I don't know if there was that much medication going on back then, but I think they did it on the skills, and they would be great to watch in these days too.
Probably Stanley Dancer, Billy Houghton would be a toss-up, just from what I've seen from clips and I've read in previous sportsman issues and trot magazines and stuff, and the history that surrounds both those gentlemen. I did get the privilege of watching Keith Waples, and he was a master too, and he's actually absolutely a living legend, but I just went a generation before him.
You know, I'd like to see is Keith Waples. He kind of a legend, Ontario guy. You hear all the good stories about him, how he drove. I'd like to see it live in his heyday.
Keith Waples.
You know what? One just sticks out as Keith Waples. I think he's just a legend. I think he was a great driver in his time. I'd like to actually know how many races he won, and better yet, I'd like to see him school a lot of these young guys and show them how to race a horse right. And to me, he's the greatest there ever was.
I'm gonna say Bill Houghton. Walter Case, and I'll give you another one, Keith Waples.
Maybe Walter Case, actually, just because everybody said he was so good and he wins so many races, and I don't really remember him much, but maybe just watch him drive a little bit. I'd watch him, and the horse I would watch, Cam Fella, I guess. I've watched a few videos on him and stuff, but I'd watch Cam Fella.
I was always a fan of Hervé Filion. Actually, I never get to, he was so great back then, and I'd like to see him do it, come back out and do it again maybe.
Probably Hervé Filion. I think he was a great driver.
Just because of my association with him early, I would probably say Bill Wellwood.
I'd like to see what Bill Wellwood would do. He was always kind of neat to watch back in the day, and I'd like to see how he'd be this time of year.